OzMag.com.
Were you a fan of anime, before you started working in
Oh
the
yes,
business?
oh yes. I started watching anime years and years ago on cave walls. No, I used to when anime first had one of its first waves of popularity over here in the States. It was referred to as Japanimation. Though many of us watching it on television didn't know where it came from. We just knew that this is awesome, weird space opera, sort of battleship thing going on. So I watched things like Battle of the Planets and Silverhawks and Voltron and all that. So I loved it. It was certainly the coolest animated stuff I'd ever. It's the most mature animated stuff I was watching, because most stuff made for us kids growing up in the States was far different in tone and timbre, and it was also not as cohesive. You can dip into the Smurfs. It's a great show, but you can dip into the Smurfs anywhere and get it, a sense of what the show is about. There's no long arc the way there are in anime. So watching these shows, you'd really be vested in these characters because you were kind of with them for the long haul. They sort of changed and grew slowly and slightly week to week as you followed their dramatic arc, and that was the first time I'd ever encountered that kind of storytelling made for someone like someone of my age that was animated. So I really credit my watching anime when I was that age as kind of helping me develop my tastes for what I think of as good storytelling now. So yeah, anime's been there since as far back as I can remember.
Who do you think is your most beloved character?
It's probably a toss-up between Kyoya and Sebastian, and right now Ray from Free. And they all, well, two of them wear glasses, and and one of them has a sexy British accent. Well, I shouldn't say my voice is that. I don't particularly find my voice sexy, but that's not my place. But Sebastian and those three, the trifecta. Maybe France too. It's hard to. Those are the ones I see again and again. The cosplayers, and they come up to me. Those are the ones that I think.
Going along with that, what are your most common fan requests?
To hear Sebastian speak, usually to say their name in some way, like, can you marry me as Sebastian? Can you say, welcome to the host club, things like that. They often want me to sing as my characters, and I don't sing. I'm not a singer, so I'm always a little befuddled by that, but, God love them for asking.
What part of your career are you most proud of?
I'm really very proud. Well, I hesitate to be proud of anything I do because it's. But I'm really proud. I'm very happy and very honored to get to be an adaptive writer. The acting is very wonderful, and I love it, and I can't imagine my life without it. And I consider the adaptive writing to be part of that same continuum of creative expression that I'm so needful of in my life. But I love writing a script that other actors who I admire and respect come to me and will be like, hey, thanks for the script. It's really good. I felt like I could really sink my teeth into that role because of your adaptation. So thank you. That always gets me. Or when a fan says, hey, I know you're not even in this show, but I could hear you in it because you're writing. And that's just very rewarding and very humbling to hear.
Going along with your writing, are there any particular authors or poets that influence your style?
Oh, quite a few. Shakespeare being the number one, just because Shakespeare's the granddaddy of anyone that wants to write, and especially dramatically. I'm also a big fan of Marcel Proust, the French author who wrote La Recherche du Temps Perdu, which is translated usually as In Search of Lost Time or Remembrance of Things Past, depending on what you read. And it's a huge, sprawling universe of a novel that runs in 6 volumes. It's over 14 million words long in the original French, and it just encapsulates so many types of personalities, and he's an author that can really see, like Shakespeare and like many of the great authors, can really see through the eyes of the characters he's writing, so that you as the reader really come to inhabit their minds in a way and grow internally by doing so. Jane Austen is another favorite writer of mine. I'm also a big fan of the fantasy author Tim Powers and Samuel R. Delany and Gene Wolfe. I mean, I could go on forever. I'm a big reader. I don't. I'm never comfortable in someone's house unless they have more books than shelf space. So that's just the sort of person I am.
Nice. And it's very apparent.
Thank you.
You also have a musical background.
Mm.
Do you have any favorite anime soundtracks?
Anything by Yoko Kanno is gorgeous. She's got such range, and I've been in love with her stuff since Cowboy Bebop, and the seatbelts, all of that stuff was great. But then one of my favorite all-time scores, and there's so many good ones out there, of course, but her score, on which she collaborated, of course, with several others, that was primarily hers, I believe, was the score for Aquarion, which was my first outing as a director, incidentally. But that show's score is gorgeous, and it runs through so many different styles, everything from Wagnerian opera to sort of folksy Irish, like Cork Irish, melodies and everything in between, Chinese, Japanese, like all these wonderful musical styles, which she is completely adept in all of them. Like, she just seems to have this weird antenna that's able to tap into like the deepest musical truth of whatever is needed for the show she's working on. And it's always just like, I cannot imagine the shows she's written for without her music. So definitely the score for Aquarion. Yes.
Do you have any particular lines or scenes that you've written that you're particularly proud of?
The one that I got to adapt for a scene in Steins Gate, which is some of my proudest work as an adaptive writer, and also I feel as an actor, because I learned so much about myself and my own limits, both dramatically and emotionally. But there's a scene in Steins Gate. I won't give too much away because it's a show that's very easy to ruin by spoilers. But there's a scene about halfway through where the show takes a very, very dark turn, and it's a very emotionally real scene where the character of Okabe, who up until that point has been very theatrical, very dynamic, but in a very arrogant way, and he's fun and you love him, but you come to realize that is all sort of a veneer he wears that helps him cope with a world he doesn't quite know how to make sense of. And when that is no longer available to him, that veneer, and he's forced to strip it away in order to try to save the life of a dear friend, it is heartbreaking to watch. The original Seiyu was perfect, and when I got to adapt that scene, I cried and needed a moment. And then when I had to do the scene a few weeks after writing it, or adapting it, I was in the booth and I just had a breakdown doing it because it was such a real thing for me, and they used it. They used the breakdown because thank God it fit, so I didn't have to do it again. But that's probably one of those moments. It gives me chills just thinking back to it because it was such a one of those. Okay, am I an actor or am I a psychopath? I'm not really sure. I've lost my grip on reality.
Cohesive at times. That's
right.
I guess for a last question, do you have any advice for someone, whether going into the business or just in general?
Well, going into the business, if you want to be an actor, be an actor. If people want to be voice actors, I caution people who want to be voice actors because they feel voice acting is easier than stage acting or film acting. A lot of people, young people I've run into, feel that they wouldn't be very good stage actors or wouldn't have much of a presence in front of a camera. So they think, but voice acting, I can do that. But nothing is further than truth unless you've gone through the gauntlet of stage and film first, or at the very least one of them first. Voice acting is just inaccessible because it's harder. It's much harder. It's not just making funny voices. It's I've used this metaphor time and again, but it's when you are bringing a character to life on stage or in front of a camera, you have a lot of things that help you as an actor create this imaginative space that allows you to convey what needs to be conveyed to the audience. Costumes, other actors, sets. If it's a live production, you have the electrifying presence of a real audience. All those things can help your performance in a way and can really inform it. When you're voice acting, you have none of that. You don't have your body available to you. I mean, it's there, but you have to be careful. You don't want to lift an arm or something or make noise because it'll pick up on mic and ruin the take. So the only thing you have is your voice, and all the things that you have access to as an actor that you would normally help you sort of deliver that performance, you now have to filter through one tool. So it's a bit like having to build a house, but you only get to use a hammer. And so unless you have a grounding in theater and others, and more what we think of as more traditional types of acting, voice acting is just impossible. It just is. So anyone that wants to be a voice actor, the operative word is actor. So pursue it. Find community theater. Do whatever. Do what it takes, but be an actor first.
All right. Thank you so much.
buzzmag.com.